Minecraft is a game that requires no introduction. In fact, it's the best-selling video game of all time. This makes it all the more interesting though, because it started as the small independent project of a single developer, and is perhaps more well documented than any other game in history. In this video, I'm going to talk about the earlier days of Minecraft, when mystery still persisted in the fog of its low render distance and the small caves beneath the surface of a world devoid of anything but yourself and a few animals. Now with the introduction out of the way, let's discuss what made old Minecraft so unusual. One of the more common things you'll hear in discussions about old versions of Minecraft is how isolating it could feel. Before the advent of multiplayer or villages, you were the sole inhabitant of a largely empty world. It was just you, small herds of animals, and the monsters that emerge at night. You could build villages, castles, and cities, and there would still be nobody to fill them. I distinctly remember this feeling from playing the game when I was young. Console versions of Minecraft used to include elaborate tutorial worlds with amazing builds and secrets to discover, but to me it always felt like maybe I wasn't completely alone while I was exploring. Like there was someone just behind me, or perhaps around the next corner. I wasn't alone in feeling like this either. I've discussed this with a few friends, and they remember feeling uneasy in old single-player worlds as well. Now as to where this feeling comes from, I have a few ideas. Much of this is obviously unintentional, such as the fog used to mask the low render distances. But I mean, is it any wonder that so many of us were creeped out by this game when it used to look like Silent Hill? Another factor I noticed while playing beta builds in preparation for this video was the sound design. Music is sparse and melancholic, often leaving you in complete silence for long periods of time. The only interruption being the sounds of mobs, which were significantly louder for some reason. I don't like hearing things walking around, it's so silent. This game is still scary! The music in particular could evoke a very strange atmosphere on its own. The soundtrack by C418 is considered by many to be one of the best in any video game. Old Minecraft, in my experience, was a largely silent game, only occasionally underscored by slow, somber piano melodies. And the choice to pair the game's simple visuals with such beautiful music leads the player into a sort of zen state while playing at times. This will be a short section, more of a continuation of the last one than anything, but it's still worth noting. A major reason this game was, / still is kind of unsettling at times, is because of what is known to the community as cave noises. Cave noises are a really weird part of Minecraft if you're not familiar with them. I believe they're intended to indicate the location of caves to the player, because they only play when you're near an area with low lighting. But some of them are so creepy you'd rather run to your base instead. I'd like you to imagine being 10 years old and playing what you think is a fun little game about building things with blocks and exploring caves, and you hear this. There are almost 20 different sounds that can play, and each are pretty startling when you're not expecting them, and they serve almost no other purpose than to scare you. The sheer variety in cave sounds makes it difficult to recognize as a single mechanic if you aren't sure what you're hearing. But I do have to give credit where credit is due, because these are some of the most unsettling sounds I've heard in a video game, especially the minecart crashing sounds. I love how atmospheric they are. Another thing worth mentioning, while not cave noises, are the music discs that can be acquired in-game. For the most part, they aren't particularly noteworthy at all, just fun little rewards gained by getting a skeleton to kill a creeper. Two of them, though, have been the topic of theories and debates for almost as long as the game has been out. The shattered Disc 11 was added shortly before the addition of Endermen to the game, and I think the general consensus now was that it was meant to act as a sort of teaser for the new enemy. But if you didn't know this and were simply trying to collect music discs and suddenly found this shattered one that played the sounds of a caver being attacked by an unknown creature, I could see that being rather disturbing. The other famously creepy one is Disc 13. This one is just a bizarre ambient track, and I'm not sure that a particular meaning is assigned to it beyond this. Minecraft has had more than its fair share of horror content made for it by its massive community. Horror maps, hoaxes, and mods are just a few of your options for making the game a bit scarier if you wish. I remember a few classic horror maps like The Orphanage, Herobrine's Mansion, and Grief. Looking back though, a lot of them really are like the stereotypes of just applying blindness and slowness to the player and walking through hallways with redstone blood. A few of them at least had some pretty impressive builds. Herobrine's Mansion in particular. In terms of hoaxes though, there's the more recent Entity 303, which I'm not at all familiar with since I haven't been involved in the online Minecraft community in many years. Something I am familiar with though is the aggregation of all of the previous topics into one legend. As a kid obsessed with Minecraft, there was little that scared me more than the idea of not being alone in my precious single-player world. Despite having humble roots as a simple creepypasta, Herobrine quickly rose to fame as not just Minecraft's most popular urban legend, but in video games as a whole. The original alleged sighting was recorded on a 2010 4chan post with this attached screenshot. It depicts a normal Minecraft world with what looks like the default Steve character model with white eyes standing barely visible in the fog. The story continues, establishing what would become hallmarks of Herobrine's sightings, like finding things you didn't build, trees stripped of leaves, and of course, occasionally seeing Herobrine himself. The story very quickly attracted attention, leading to hundreds if not thousands of faked sightings and further development of the character's lore. For whatever reason, it became part of the story that Herobrine was the name of Minecraft's original creator Notch's brother, who passed away and was now haunting the game. This was completely made up though, and Notch never even had a brother. At some point, it was believed that you could summon Herobrine by building a specific altar-like structure in your world, consisting of gold, netherrack, and torches. While untrue, it did lead to the creation of mods that would actually result in him spawning and messing with your game. The story gained so much traction and was so well known amongst players that it received official recognition by the game's developer Mojang. For years, the final bullet point on update/patch notes would say "removed Herobrine." It's very obviously a hoax, but most of us were pretty young at the time and were more afraid of our worlds being destroyed than thinking critically about whether or not it was real. To finish out this video, I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and that I hope you also remember some of this as fondly as I do. This game was a huge part of my childhood, as I know it was for others. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear any of your stories or memories about old Minecraft and if it ever creeped you out like it did for me. Once again, thank you for watching and consider subscribing for more videos like this.